Hello everybody, this is Piteio from Vale of the Edges. I thought we'd start with a new type of videos that can be useful for the advanced players who will be playing in the arena. And as you've seen in the past videos, one of the big points of the arena is making this pairing mechanism to decide which of your warriors are going to fight against the opponent's warriors. And you cannot properly do this unless you know a tiny little bit about these warriors themselves. You can make a principal choice. So in a very non-beginner friendly way, let me show you quickly for the advanced players, for the experienced players, what these warriors are about. We'll talk about one warrior for each of these videos, and we can start with the High Prince, for example, the one that you see here. We have this beautiful miniature from Admiralty Miniatures, the sculpt which has been painted by Manacerace from the Forum of the Ninth Age. And I think I should have it here. I'm sure that the camera zoom is not going to work, but this will be the original miniature that then we have scanned and put into the game. Now let me show you what this fighter is about. So it's a High Prince from the Highborn Elves faction, and it's not a generic prince, it has the honor of the High Warden of the Flame. That's why the second symbol has this blue oval emphasizing it, highlighting it. So on top of the regular profile for a High Prince of the Elves, you see that we also added the Fearless special rule from the global point of view, the Aegis 4+, the Flaming Attacks, and we have removed the shield from the option of the different things that can be purchased by the High Prince. In terms of choices from the mundane equipment, we added a spear for the reasons that you will see in a second, for the reasons that you might be suspecting already, and a longbow. Longbow, I mean, 0+, doesn't cost that much. It is present on the miniature itself, so it kind of makes sense. Plus, right now the arena is essentially playing against very strong characters, but we don't exclude that at some point there can be clashes with a big gladiator and a couple of small other fighters, and the longbow will become very useful in those cases. We have a page with the specific special items rules, but we also include martial discipline for the ones who are not familiar with the Highborn Elves. So martial discipline is a rule that all the Highborns have, and it means that discipline tests are subject to minimized roll, so it's very good to keep the discipline in check. This doesn't apply to break tests, sadly. It doesn't apply to panic either, but as you've seen before, the High Prince has Fearless, so doesn't care about panic anyway, and doesn't get the negative modifier to discipline from fear, so in that department with discipline 10 is in a good spot. Magic resistance 1 because of the High Warden of the Flame. And let me move to the weapon enchantment that goes on the spear, and which is the Sliver of the Blazing Dawn. Now this gives you +1 strength, +2 armor penetration, of course magical attacks. This is nice already, but also because this goes on top of what the normal spear does by giving you +1 armor penetration, or even +2 if you get charged by the opponent in the front. But more interestingly, the Sliver of the Blazing Dawn transforms each successful to-hit roll into 2 hits. And this is cute, because the offensive skill is 7 and the High Prince has lightning reflexes. So against anything with a defensive skill of maximum 6, the High Prince is going to hit on a 2+ and with 4 attacks, and these 4 attacks, for each that goes well, then you will have an extra 1, so you have the potential of making 8 attacks with strength 5. Armor penetration might climb up to 5, 1 because of the prince, 2 because of the sliver, and 2 because of the spear if you get charged. And you have agility 8, which can become up to agility 10 if you get charged from the spear. If you're using the spear while being charged. If you charge the opponent, it's only going to be 9. So, you know, so in the attack department, it's going quite well. In the defense department, it only has a light armor that's going to be negated practically by everything, but it does have an Aegis of 4+. So that's useful. The other special item that this prince has is the Ring of the Pearl Throne. And this is a fun item if you're using it. It's a very frustrating item if your opponent is using that on you. Essentially, it means that right before starting combat, you can decide a single special item carried by the opponent and negate it, and it won't function until the next round of combat, where you can change to a new one, but it will also always have to be one item at a time. So, as you see here, you might say, well, I have 4, potentially 8 hits, attacks with strength 5 and maybe armor penetration 5. If you feel that's not enough, because for example the opponent has a high resilience, you can interfere with the opponent's armor. If you are scared of the fact that you are only a squishy elf with resilience 3 and with practically no armor, you might, for example, decide to destroy the opponent's weapon. Yeah. So it's a very simple build. You have one artifact that interacts with the opponent's build. You have one weapon enchantment, and then you have the honor for the High Prince with the extra rules: fearless, magic resistance, Aegis, no shield, but also importantly flaming attacks that you cannot turn off. So you have them, you keep them. And this is interesting because from the pairings point of view, it means that you have to choose carefully who should be the opponent when playing with this elf. And for example, you have a few things to keep in mind. For example, you have flaming attacks. The king from the Dwarven army has a 2+, I think, Aegis save against flaming attacks because of the rune of the forge. So maybe you might be interested in taking that out before doing your attacks, which means that you will be using the ring for that, not to destroy the runic weapon, for example. To pay attention to that kind of things. Another thing is that, for example, the Deceiver has a number of special roots and also has manifestations, as demons do, which are not special items. So, paying attention there with what happens with the selection. Somebody who's similar to the High Prince is the Duke, in the sense that the Duke from the Kingdom of Aquitaine has the Tristan's Resolve, and the Tristan's Resolve can destroy one of the opponent's magic weapon enchantments. So, you know, it fulfills a role that's kind of similar to the one of the Ring of the Pearl Throne. You can also imagine that the Druid is probably not going to want to get in combat with the elf, and so the use of the ring might be limited, and so on and so forth. I would say that, yeah, definitely the Deceiver and the Druid, the magic users that can hit from a distance with the squishy resilience 3 and practically no armor of the elf can be a problem. If you can negate the weapon of the opponent, great. You're gonna attack first, and then hopefully you're gonna absorb the hits. If you can negate the armor and manage to make all of the wounds to the opponent, it's also great. You see, the miniature of the prince here. This, as you know, this is just a bidimensional standee, but of course we already have the miniature ready for you. I think it's over here, and you can see the full 3D miniature that we're gonna unblock when we reach the appropriate Patreon goal. But before we unlock the miniatures, you're gonna have a chance to unblock the line of sight tools. This is a very practical one that tells you advance 5, march 10, and the range of the longbow, which will need to be corrected at some point. Well, I mean, we haven't unlocked the stretch goal yet, so I won't change that for the moment being. So this is all for today. Short video about the high prints from the Highborn Elves. I hope you liked it, and see you soon with another video about another of the gladiators from the arena. Bye.